and 4 in some of their recent matchups as well, but you would have to favor Rogue. Do you think we're going to see dive out of Rogue, ZP?
Gee, is Rogue going to use a composition that they popularized for all of Western Overwatch? Gee, Hex, I think that is a very good possibility, but yeah, they're going to be using a dive comp, and again, it's Rogue style. They like using tanks to get into the back line, multiple flanking DPS to be a pressure into the back, but in this case, they have the multiple flanking DPS and a D.Va the supplement. So Rogue didn't always run this. He used to run more 3 DPS. Now they enjoy mixing in the D.Va a little bit more.
No, as we make that joke, also they're not even running a Zenyatta. Uncle's on the Ana too, so a couple of different switch-ups here. Beast Halo finds Wins early on, and Wins is not going to be tweeting for the next couple of minutes as he walks back from spawn. However, the tanks and supports take each other out, and Rogue gets a couple of decisive kills there. Trying to retreat is the remainder of his team, but a nice chase from AKM takes out Dreamcasper late.
Rogue able to clean that up. It was looking a little bit dicey in the very beginning, but they are remarkably solid at bringing back fights. Also, I will dispute that. I do think Wins could tweet while running back. You only need one hand on the keyboard, Hex. Many people are very acquainted with this.
Fair enough. Unco has done so much work early on that he's going to have boost ready should they so need it. He might throw that on one of his tanks, but who is the target here? A good sleep onto Too Easy as well as Unco goes down after using the boost onto Nico. Nico looking for some in the back line. Doesn't bust out the blade. They don't necessarily need it either.
Ooh, Nico just getting punched in the mouth by Ludi into the back. Not really what he was looking for at all. And it is a little bit weird they didn't pull out the blade. I think he felt he didn't need it. And then he probably did as Tig making room into the back line. And Too Easy now using attrition to his advantage. Able to get 2 easy kills on the AKM and Wins into the back.
Well, Nico was anti-heals during a lot of that Genji life, so pulling out the blade in that situation is not ideal. So actually a little bit of discipline from this Rogue team that has not necessarily been their calling card in some instances as well. They do find themselves halfway cut out in this fight, and Wins will eat the Too Easy pulse bomb.
Oh, Too Easy making his presence known here into the backline. Dreamcasper holding onto the blade. Tempo getting a lot of momentum on their side right now, and now we'll see if they can capitalize. Rogue certainly has a lot that they can throw right back at them, but if Tempo can somehow be on the winning edge of this next team fight, which will be an ultimate showdown, it'd be very good for them.
Well, the Rogue motto for a while has been nothing for free, so I don't imagine they'll sit back and wait for this, but a Nano Blade comes in from Casper.
Nanoblade comes in, and it's a beautiful sleep dart reflecting the Unco, takes him down, removes the Ana from the fight, and gets Wins for good measure. Both supports down for Rogue, and Tempo has opened the way.
Just a great initiation there from this Tempo Storm team, and I said Rogue gives you nothing for free. They were probably looking to find an opening to dive, but the initiative taken by Tempo Storm takes the fight to Rogue. I think that's one of the better strategies. You can't play reactionary against Rogue. You have to adopt their style of all-out aggression, and Tempo Storm looking good so far.
Tempo, they can just pile on with the barrier here. It's gonna be barrier versus nano boost, and it's gonna be a lot of Nico. Nico taking this guy's Nanoblade is out right into the barrier, but Nanoblade can crack through barrier if played well. Still though, Nico gets damage done, but is it enough to win the fight? It's hard to say. It's 3 versus 3 remaining. 3 Tempo, 3 on Rogue, and now it's down to 2 on 2, one of the most even fights we have seen, and Beast Halo, one of the ones remaining. Reinforcements coming back in for Tempo, and they very well are going to take this fight.
Too Easy has crushed the backline several times in a row, 1v1ing Anas as he goes by, and Too Easy has those days where he is just godlike. This should worry every team watching Tempo Storm right now because so far he looks absolutely on.
This is a little bit crazy. If Tempo were to come out here and beat Rogue on King's Row, I don't know what to believe in life anymore. It would, of course, it would be great for Tempo Storm, but also just show just how much can change in Overwatch. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Tempo pretty much drained on ultimates here. Gonna have to win this one on mechanics alone for this next fight soon. Being a pest into the back line, almost getting on to Cozy, but Cozy able to shake him, able to deal with Soon's pressure into the back. But this time, it's AKM, no longer on the D.Va, doing work on the Soldier and solidifying things here for Rogue.
It's kind of a late switch to go onto the D.Va. I think they could have used this a little bit earlier. Actually, Nico's getting it off the Genji, and he'll play the D.Va instead. That's how important she is in the meta, but maybe if it starts to still go bad for them, just run the triple DPS that they're known for. A blade comes in from Casper, though, finds Unco in the back line before that barrier can save him.
Blade running into the barrier, but Dream Casper does not care. He had the nano boost and ends up with 3, cleaving through adversity. He was down to something like 30 HP there. Did not matter in the end. Cuts right through Rogue's defenses and keeps Tempo Storm rolling forward.
Nox has to use a primal just to stay alive, not even really able to stall out the cart as Rogue regroups on the defense to try to come back in. Another switch on the offense as Too Easy gets off the Tracer onto the 76 instead to get that damage. Like I said, this is a last point where you'll see switches on both offense and defense.
Dream Casper applying pressure to AKM in the back, has to back out, not able to get out in time. Nox applying the pressure needed, and Rogue, now with man advantage, can get out of their hidey hole and start pushing forward in the tempo, but Nico gets demech'd. He doesn't get the support he needs there early on, and Too Easy now applying the pressure from the backline as a soldier. Tempo Storm reestablishing and coming back online.
Too Easy very low, has to try to stay alive, being pressured, but does get the support that he needs as they go back in. Force out the Transcend rather early from Unko as Casper dashes through too.
Casper dashes in, Soundbearer in from Tempo. Tempo doubling down on this fight, and for good reason. Soon is out, and Too Easy is in. We have a Nano Visor in play. Haven't been seeing this as much recently, and he is Too Easy looking for anything into the back, and really doesn't get as much because of the defensive matrix. Probably why I don't see much, and oh no, that's a Diva Bomb right in Too Easy's face, barely able to get away. This is a crazy fight.
A nice responsive barrier from Wins there too, as he kept most of his team alive because of it. And yeah, defense matrix very good against Soldier 76. It's one of the reasons that Diva came to power, is because everyone was running Soldier, and then everyone realized, oh, she can shut down a lot of things, so let's just continue to do that. So teams will restabilize here. A deep dive from the backline as Casper has Blade yet again.
Casper has Blade, but immediately eats a Helix Rocket for his troubles. AKM not having any more of that. And AKM swapping back to the 76 has definitely been helpful here for Rogue, where plenty of sightlines here on last that he can use. And I would say that him to the 76 and Nico to the Diva has been a pretty good adjustment here from Rogue, at least for last.
A small misstep there from Tempo, as Kosi was going to have Nano just a second later, and if they had just waited, Casper might live through that Helix there, and he might get more out of that Blade. Now they don't necessarily have a great target for Nano Boost. You can put it on Beast, or you can put it on Diva, but you would have probably liked to get it on a Blade. But Barrier and Nano up for the offense. They're going to open up with Self-Destruct.
Self-destruct going to the backline, Soundbearer coming out just to make sure no one dies there, as Soon dives it into the back beautifully, finds Too Easy, and Tempo already working down a very key DPS player in Rogue. They know they have the advantage. They're just going to rush this down like it is their business, because, frankly, it is.
These are the French national team Overwatch World Cup players. And why wouldn't you just take Rogue? They've been so dominant. They, a little rough spot for them at Apex, but now back to their home region. Of course, they will be in Overwatch Contenders Season 1, already seeded in for North America, as well as Envious. And now they have banked up some good ultimates. They are going to have 4 to work with, and Too Easy's going to have to find something, but so hard with the Diva on the field.
They found AKM, by the way. Dream Casper goes, wait, there's a soldier here. Causes AKM to go a little bit further back, but Rogue is going to counter here at the Transcendence, keeping everyone alive versus this Tempo dive, but Dreamcasper's still up and around. He's grabbed one here so far, going to take down Soon, and has a Blade coming up as well. But we're in overtime. Tempo cannot move away from the point. Dream Casper under pressure, and here comes the Blade. Diving to the back, finds Unko, looking for more, tearing through Winston, forces out the Primal, and takes down Wins with one swipe. Dream Casper keeping the hope alive right now for Tempo, but they don't have much room to give here, Hex.
He got both supports, but Soon is able to find him eventually, sticks him with a Pulse Bomb. Barrier comes in for the offense, though not quite over yet. Soon will fall. Respawn should be in favor of the defense here, but they're going to have to get some kills if they want to bring this one back.
They've been getting staggered, though. Too Easy has been getting crucial kills right into the backline, chasing after Nico. Nico wants to get remech'd, not going to happen. The payload is moving forward. Rogue must contest. The Transcendence is out, and Rogue, as time expires, not able to prevent Tempo Storm from claiming their prize.
Well, that's a little bit surprising, but we'll wait and see the other side of things. Sometimes it's just teams are not necessarily great at playing defense. The meta shifts that way a lot of times, where hybrid maps used to be very difficult to finish, and now sometimes teams are finishing them in blazing fast times, but the defense finally came alive at last, which is so often the case in these kind of maps.
So I have a question here, and this is sort of thinking out loud, because I don't think they've made an announcement, unless I just have missed it, but is Toronto Esports dead? Because Ludi was playing with them in Contenders, Jaru was playing with them in Contenders, and now we see them playing for different organizations.
Yeah, I think they're rebuilding. I think I saw that they had posted on a Korean Overwatch website that they were actively recruiting players, so...
But do you rebuild by letting go of your better players? Because Ludi has been playing very well on the Lucio. He's been a good addition that we haven't talked too much about here, so I'm just... I don't know, I'm a little bit confused at Toronto Esports, where it's like, guys, we're rebuilding. By the way, we let go our most promising players. It's like, well, either way, that is a mystery for another time. What are we seeing right now coming out here from the defense of Tempo Storm? I wanted to say Toronto Esports because I was really on the Toronto Esports vibe, but Tempo Storm.
Well, it looks pretty standard from them. They're going to run the variation of dive, the 2-2-2 variation of dive, not the triple DPS. I will say, though, Dreamcasper, you're right. I mean, Too Easy played well, no doubt about it. But Dreamcasper had Blade up like every fight. Like every single fight. That was insanity. And he was getting 2 kills, which I mentioned is kind of just bonus at this point. Teams have been so good at shutting down Genjis. Offensively, it looks like they're going to run a little variation. No Genji in the mix. Nico staying on the Diva, but they're going to run AKM on 76.
The thing that was really impressive about Dreamcasper, too, is that a lot of those plays were on the margin. He was living with 30 HP and just barely making it happen. That is the mark of a DPS player playing on the edge and making things go his way. And Rogue already diving in. Under counter dive here by Tempo, but Dreamcasper and Beast Halo not able to survive. The Winston Genji combo getting punished, and Rogue has already opened the door.
I like the thought there by Tempo Storm to take the dive to them. So often teams are running the dive comp now and just trying to catch the dive. They took the initiative to Rogue, which I think is one way that you can beat them, at least throw them off their game. Make them uncomfortable, I think, is where you start in your strategy against Rogue.
Oh, that is where you start, and Tempo's doing an okay job of getting back into this fight and buying some time, and in fact, Beast Halo and Dreamcasper getting some quick revenge. It was looking like Rogue had this one entirely, but the divers of Tempo getting back into the fight just in time, and even though the point is almost captured, they have bought crucial time here for Tempo on this defense, but it's not quite enough.
Oh, that's right. Unko is an amazing Zenyatta. Completely forgot. Just crushes it there towards the end. A late try to stall out, and now Tig is gonna get staggered so hard. This is brutal. They're just booping him around and having him in the Matrix. Tig finally dies.
AKM finally showing mercy towards the very end. And by the way, this is the part where, take a look at Wins. Can we just get a camera on Wins right now? This is his life.
Yeah, can you hear like the phone noises of him typing on Twitter?
Tick, 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 tick. But in any case, Rogue holding very far up, Wins way in the back where he belongs. And AKM under assault right now, under heavy pressure. The Transcendence going to come back out in a hurry, saving AKM in his time of need, and that's really good to react to Beast Halo, and Rogue will keep the momentum going forward.
So I want to say that Tempo was banked alts, but the other way to look at it is they haven't had a chance to use alts. They've been staggered out one by one, getting picked off one by one. They will have nearly 6 up next time they choose to fight, but they've had to regroup so much. It's going to be difficult for them to even get out here on time to fight at second, but that is a slow cart. They should be able to at least apply some pressure and not give it up for free.
Oh, they lob the self-destruct right to the back. Answered here by the Transcendence. Thankfully for Tempo, no one got hit by that self-destruct, and they are doubling down. They layer the Sound Barrier on top of the Transcendence. They do not want to give up second for free here, and it wouldn't be for free because they would be expending a lot of ultimates to maintain control. But they do cash in at the very least. The Rogue will be thrown back. They will not get second in record time.
Had to use some alts there. Really nice play by Beast Halo, actually. He got stuck by a Pulse Bomb, then popped Primal and jumped away from his team, saving a lot of casualties in the process. They're also going to have Blade and Bomb, and Rogue does not have anything to go just yet. So Unko's the closest one to an ultimate. It's 0v3 on the ultimate economy.
Look at this. We got an ambush setting up here. Dreamcasper and Beast Halo crouching around to the backside. They are the Bash brothers here for Tempo Storm, and Dreamcasper assassinates Unko. Gets the man he's looking for. The stealth mission Metal Gear scientist ninja has worked out.
Casper still in the backline. Didn't even have to use Blade. He will find his end in the face of Soon, though, as both of the DPS peeled back to try to deal with that. Now with Casper out of this fight, but still holding Blade, it might be a window for Rogue, but they don't seem to know it. They have to wait for Unko to get back here.
They do have to wait to get back, but here's one thing, is that by the time he gets back, Casper will be coming back in with a blade of his own. ACAM is already down. Cozy channeling his inner boombox, and that makes things tough for Rogue. In fact, they don't even want any part of this without ACAM being with them. They back out, and they're going to wait for ACAM to get back into this fight.
No, when you're not running a Genji, you absolutely need the Soldier 76 to start softening up targets to make Tracer's job that much easier in the back line. And you can't lose your DPS on the entry there. You don't want to be pushing in with ults, which is their plan for the next one. Nox has to be careful too, gets very low. Now is not the time to really be gambling with Poke. Transcend comes in though.
Transcend comes in, Dreamcasper holding on to the Dragon Blade. Transcendence is out, and they're layering the support ultimates again for Tempo. I mean, at least they have the support ultimates up, and it works out. While they're in the period where they can't be hit, Dreamcasper able to get one onto Soon, gonna get booped and bopped away. Nox has had enough. Dreamcasper has no way out. He is thrown to his death. My goodness.
Well, self-destruct from Tig does actually get wins out of that, so it's going to slow down the momentum that Rogue was trying to build there. Tig also finds himself a Nox. Now it's only 3 on the cart versus 4 to 5 from the defense. Rogue has to back out here. You can't take this fight. Yeah, bye Soon.
Yep. And Tempo, this has been a brilliant second point defense here. They had to defend this with something like 5 minutes remaining, Hex, and now they are down to a minute 30. There is the real possibility of a hold here, especially if ACAM cannot find a way to get a good tack visor into this next fight.
One of the questions about Rogue even a couple months ago was, are they using their ultimates correctly? Are they comboing them right? And North American teams have gotten a lot better at it. There's no doubt about it. I think you can ask anyone, and their economy game has stepped up. Has Rogue done enough, or do they think they can still simply outplay people? They are mechanically gifted players, but at some point, economy, combos, and ults will matter.
It will indeed. ACAM right now under pressure to the back. Still has attack visor in reserve, looking for the right opportunity. Definitely not get thrown in the Transcendence as Cozy moves in. Dream, will he follow up with the blade? No, I think Tempo has gone a little bit far out here. They have to retreat. Rogue with an ideal opportunity to turn this right back on its head. But here comes the Transcendence. Dream is waiting for that, and the sound barrier will give him time to wait. Now the Transcendence is about faded, and the blade can be unleashed. But here comes the self-destruct over the top. Space being made here. Won't be enough.
Well, there's also space on the other side. His self-destruct will create space. Now this fight's taking place in a very odd spot. Casper finds himself down after the end of that fight, didn't get anything from the blade. Nox pops Primal to knock them all away. Still a little back and forth, but momentum now firmly in Rogue's favor. They are still fighting though from Tempo. Transcend comes out defensively.
It's another Transcend. Tempo's been getting Transcendences off over and over again. It's been a great job here by Cozy. Unco under assault in the back, too easy, taking him down, and Tempo Storm on the verge of holding off Rogue and taking map number 1. What universe are we living in right now? No baguettes for Tempo Storm. They have rejected them in full.
Just across the board, everyone from Tempo Storm had a great game. The supports played well. Dreamcasper went off on the offense with so many blades. A little less impressive on his defensive showing, but that's somewhat the nature of Dragon Blade. And then too easy on the cleanup. Everyone clutched it out when they had to, and I still think that there's some, ultimate management style issues with Rogue and not able to make the last good push.
The Shadowburn circa summer last year training program of eat, sleep, play Genji, and that was what he did every day. So I don't think either of the two really enjoy playing D.Va that much, even though it is more meta. So this might be Rogue getting back to their roots a little bit.
Completely agree. Nico, I think we saw him in the March OMM, and both of us were a little surprised of where did this Genji come from? Because he took over that tournament on Genji, which is something we hadn't necessarily seen from him before. Alright, so Rogue gonna play aggressive. Again, they need to get back to their roots. This is triple DPS, gonna be aggressive first hold. Wins! Domes Cozy right out the gate.
Down goes Cozy, wins coming out. Even if he's attached to the payload Hex, he can still get some kills from time to time. Rest of Rogue right now, hanging on in the backline. And you have Tempo just working their way up, but they're getting poked down very heavily as they try to move forward, and Rogue is not really having much of it.
Right, they lost Soon early, so that's why Rogue was taking a bit of a step back. They don't have the backline pressure that needs to be in there. However, Nox goes in very deep, punished. They lose 3 quickly. I don't know what I'm seeing necessarily. It just seems like they're all alone. They're not playing together. There it is as they bring it back. They can do that. They can win their 1v1s.
This is actually turning in favor of Tempo. Rogue has lost way too many people. They were deep diving, things were going well, but when you start losing 2-3 people, suddenly, what's going to happen here? Tempo is going to be able to take advantage of those pickoffs and move into the courtyard as 6. So Rogue has actually given up a very big advantage here, and they have to be careful because they're not really close to having ultimates up just yet. Maybe Nico will get a Dragon Blade in the middle of the next fight, which will let them snowball, but he has to be more aggressive for it, but finds Tig, gets to the back line. That's big.
It's so important because Tig has been shutting down Unko on the Ana, so all the healing is not coming out from him and makes them less effective as they dive in, not getting the heals that they're expecting. AKM finds 2, uses the visor. That is 4 eliminations for AKM.
AKM finishing it back out. Had the convert on the visor, but it is a visor well spent. It puts Tempo Storm out of the courtyard. Rogue able to reestablish, and now they have options for the next fight. They will have the Blade on deck. They already have the Primal Rage. Much is going to be said the same for Tempo here, so it might be a tale of 2 Genjis, and the way it's been going here today, I would almost put my money on Dreamcasper here. He's been excellent with his blades.
Yeah, we haven't really seen Nico on the Genji so far, though. But you're right, Dreamcasper has been great. AKM stops this push before it even starts. Too easy with a Helix to the feet. Out of the fight.
Watch your step. Is all I gotta say about that. Too easy got the old hot foot there, and not something you want when you want everyone alive heading into a push. So, given the fact that you don't want to use ultimates into a losing fight, this is why Tempo is backing up and going, okay, we are going to wait for a full 6 and then use our resources, and resources is something they have in abundance right now, especially compared to Rogue, especially when you look at the support ultimates.
Support ultimates decide games in a lot of different games, Overwatch especially here. They're going to open up with Barrier. Unko now out of the fight. That is so much huge healing that they rely on now not going to be there, but Nico takes out Dreamcasper with both, I think both use the Blade. And yeah.
They both used the blade. It was top 10 anime battles, and Nico was the one standing. He resheathed the sword. There's a cool animation effect. He is the one still alive here. But Tempo pulling in the pressure. Tig over the top takes down Nico, and a tragic end for our anime hero.
I get that reference. It's a YouTube video thing, huh? All right, I'm in on the joke. I know stuff, kids, fellow kids.
Look, it's just me getting you back for all the movie references. I mentioned something that's animated and involves drama and isn't a Looney Tune, and you're just like, what? What is going on? It's just like I am to any time you reference any movie ever.
Any movie ever with actual people in it. You like your drama drawn. Well, that is a nice take there from Tempo Storm as they push in, mostly off the back of that self-destruct. There were some fights after, but that was the one that turned the point. Rogue not giving up any inch for free. Will dive in really hard on him. The anti-heal comes down on Beast Halo. Despite that, though, able to take down his counterpart.
Nox is just heavily focused there. Didn't get the support he needed. Nico now off on an island. He's going to get taken down. And Tempo cleaning up what was a somewhat unorganized Rogue offense. AKM tries to clean up here with the nanovisor, and it's not just trying. He takes down 2 in hot pursuit. Doesn't even care that Tig is a diva. He's going to demech her all the same. And Rogue, off of AKM's nanovisor, able to bring this one right back and stabilize.
Hey, Tig was there, he had it, he just didn't really commit to it. I think you have to give up your life there and commit to dying as Diva, very likely, because you're probably going to die anyway if you're alone in the fight. And then AKM just sidestepped him, just like, well, excuse me, ma'am, you're in my way, I'm trying to murder people below you, and gets Diva out of it. So, next push will reset with a little under 2 minutes left.
Rogue has done a good job of just gumming up this offense here from Tempo. Dreamcasper under pressure, blading to the back line, sound barrier, ruining his day, 10 HP, and he still gets wins, the final swipe, able to take wins out at the very end, so doesn't go away with nothing, but not the greatest of blades in terms of breaking the fight wide open. Rogue counter pushing back in, Nox holding on the Primal, and he's gonna pop it. Disruption ahoy into the back, and that's gonna force out the sound barrier here from Tempo.
As they continue to fight, no real impactful kills just yet. The self-destruct comes up over the top. I don't think it's going to find it. No, landed on the ledge. It would have gotten to AKM otherwise, but it gets stuck up there. He's able to live through this one. They do lose wins in the process, though, but the boost on AKM again. Tig has to bail. AKM tries to round the corner. Doesn't find much, though.
Nope, does not find much at all. Rogue able to continue stabilizing, and AKM has been the problem here. Whether he's been the one getting credit or not, he has been dealing immense amount of damage to the back. and there hasn't really been a great answer for him in terms of diving in and taking him out of fights. Even when they do dive in on him, he has such good positioning that he's able to punish the people trying to make things happen.
Wins is now on the Zenyatta. I think he was off it for a little bit, and they were having trouble dealing with some of the tanks that were diving in. So it's time to bring the Discord Ord back to the fight soon. Also is going to have Pulse Bomb. We'll see where he wants to set up, usually in a little place. But they need to spot out this rotation coming in. And the fact it's been so quiet means that they have to know this rotation's coming in through the top. That's one way to take high ground. They're going to transcend with this too.
They're transcending, they're popping the tac visor, and Too Easy popped this tac visor on a whim and a prayer, hoping that he would find some targets. Did get AKM, which is probably the most important of all the way this has been going down, but that is going to be it. A 6v5 setup here for Tempo, and still options here for Rogue to crack this one wide open. Nico holding on to self-destruct, and that's something pretty good when you get clear people off the payload in overtime.
Yeah, well, we're in overtime right now, as you mentioned, and they start by taking down Too Easy. The Primal Rage will come in and disrupt everyone's positioning as AKM will get the visor, take Johnny on the spot in his face, but at low health gets D-mech desuited. Casper trying to bring this back on a wing and a prayer.
Gets a deflect on the AKM, but that is about it. 1 versus 4, not a great situation, even for a Genji of the caliber of Dream Casper. Nico's gonna get the last little bit of cleanup here on the payload, and Rogue will strike back here at Tempo with a 2-point hold.
It's one of the few teams we've seen recently run Zenyatta and Ana together, and it can work. One of the problems that you run into there is on defense, especially getting the reinforcements back to the front line, because you don't have the Lucio speed boost to taxi everyone back in there. And they worked it really well. Unko is such a god at managing his cooldowns as Ana. There's not really one Transcend that didn't get anti-healed. And Transcend's a good ult, but anti-heal, a very good counter to it.
I think people have forgotten that to some extent,
yeah.
Due to the fact that we haven't been seeing as much Ana as of late, where you have games where Zenyatta doesn't have to worry about everyone's favorite senior citizen in the back. You just go and, oh, I transcend. There's nothing you can do aside from bursting someone down. Well, when an Ana is in play, you can use the biotic grenade to disable the healing. And again, I do think there is something to be said in Overwatch where teams, even though teams are full of smart players that know the game, it is easy to tunnel vision and forget how some things interact at times.
Yeah, if you just don't see it very often, then that can definitely happen to you. So, Rogue gonna try to even up the series. They have to get to just around 2nd point. If they capture 2nd point, of course, that'll be enough for them. But, you know, there's still a defensive side of things to be played here. Do you see anything out of the ordinary or maybe interesting to you on the defensive lineup from Tempo Storm?
Well, on the defense here, we're not seeing any Lucio on here. It's going with a Ana Zen defense, so they're not going to have mobility options that you would normally have, but they are going to be rather beefy, where they will maintain the option of discording people, having Transcendence in the middle of fights, but also maintaining the option of having higher burst heals to keep Beast Halo alive as he deep dives. Also, Dream Casper, who's been great on Genji so far, going on to 76, which he also plays very well. And Hex, I know we like to talk about players that are sort of unicorns in a sense that can play really good hit scan and really good projectile. Dream Casper has been one of those players.
Came up as a Roadhog of all things too, and he's been showing us more and more as he has evolved as a player. They're running what Rogue ran essentially on defense here. The 2 tanks dive into the backlines up top. They'll punished a little bit. Bo Zenyatta's now out of the mix, and that is all the healing for Tempo Storm now out. Now that is all the healing for Rogue now out of it.
And Too Easy cleaning up the scraps. Dream Casper was weakening people from the side. Beast Halo as well, and Too Easy licking his chops, getting a few crucial kills towards the back. The problem is for Tempo is that they were a little bit too far out. Rogue is now cleaning up the scraps, and Tempo going to have to reset here back in the courtyard. Rogue with a great opportunity now to reverse the momentum of this game.
Yeah, they're going to get a lot of free push here. Actually, Tempo playing it pretty smart. They know how aggressive these flankers for Rogue can be, so they're not really even peeking out here, and they're staying near their supports. You don't want Ludi to end up going down to chip damage or Soon coming around the corner, which Soon is wont to do. So they're going to have to wait. They're going to reset his 6. I think it's the right move against Rogue.
And Rogue, Nox, not to be denied, chasing after Ludi with reckless abandon, gets his man, but look at Too Easy in the back. Still making this a winnable fight here for Tempo, moving in with Beast Halo. They combine their forces, they grab Unco, and what you're seeing here is just a constant combination of Winston plus flanking DPS plus dead support on Rogue. Wins and Unco are having a much tougher day than they usually do.
I completely agree, and part of that is Rogue's never really had to come back and support them on the dive. Usually Wins and Unco can protect themselves, they can peel for themselves, but the dive has been so strong for Tempo Soaring, both on their offense and defense, that they're having a hard time. AKM is now on the D.Va. Maybe he can switch back with it and sit with his team. Actually, he was on the D.Va earlier. Tig comes in, takes down Wins early on in this fight. That has been a theme. They are really trying to crush the back line.
Wins is definitely. I don't know what's going on. This is only set 2 of the day, but Wins has been having trouble getting out of Dragon Blades. He has not been as evasive as Ginger Pop was earlier, but AKM opens the door. Self-destruct going to take down 2, and Rogue keeping the payload moving forward. This should be a second point capture for them here.
This is literally a replay of what we saw in the first half, from compositions to a self-destruct opening up and winning first point. This has been the exact same from both sides of each team, and it actually would surprise me if at some point the defense doesn't switch to a D.Va, just to be able to hold high ground a little better and protect your 76 up there. I think that would probably
particularly a D.Va would be nice when you don't have a Lucio that can boot people back. You have very little disengage options here for the defense. You just, at most, you can tank things with the Transcendence, but that isn't always up. In any case, though, Tempo Storm with that early pickoff, they do have an edge going into this next fight. Dream holding on the high ground, Tig looking for his option to dive in, and Ludi holding on the trans, and he's going to use it right now. They want to win this fight with that support ultimate as Nico finds absolutely nothing up top.
That's a really early Transcendence, though, and I think Rogue is absolutely fine with losing this little skirmish, because now they have a huge bank of ultimates to use, including both support ultimates ready to go. They can Transcend, they can Barrier, they can Blade. They've got a lot working for them, so an interesting Transcend. I understand wanting to win that fight, but there was really no big pressure, and then the chase wasn't there for him.
Dragon Blade coming out here from Nico, supported by the Blade. Cozy in his sights, and Cozy able to shake him. Gets the support from the rest of his team. They converge on the Nico, stop the Blade from doing what it wanted to do, and Too Easy and Dreamcasper can still bring tempo back in this fight.
But this is what I was talking about earlier in our other set, that the tanks have to play as one, and if you look at Nox, you're also going to see AKM, and vice versa. They have been all over each other, helping each other out in a 2v1 battle all the time, using their mobility. Dreamcasper comes in there, and he just needed to die anyway. He had to reset.
He couldn't get out. He was going to get staggered no matter what he did, and Rogue was able to delay that to some extent. That's actually very bad for tempo here. They have no more room to give. They still have to defend for 2 minutes. Beast Halo has to delay here with Primal Rage to give Dreamcasper time to get back onto this point and hopefully get a Tac Visor up if you're from Tempo. Oh my goodness, the fireworks! Goodbye, good night. They can't even get back on the payload. Rogue
such a cool thing
striking
there.
right back here in Dorado.
The Winston had just dropped his shields, and they saw that, but he knocked the self-destruct up anyway, and then his whole team focused the shield. So the shield cracked, there was nowhere to hide, and that's what dropped Beast Halo there.
Given how good 76 can be on this first point, do you think this is right? Like, I kind of wonder if they'd be better playing Nico on D.Va and AKM on 76 here.
I think they feel comfortable with the damage that they can put out, and it's so important to be able to protect your team if the dive comes in on them. You can make an argument for either of them, although in this case, I think that they should have the D.Va. It gives him a little more sustain and might allow Unco the last bit of pack that he needs, the last bit of life that he needs to be able to get a EMP on this point. Casper on the McCree. It's a hero that he's got in his kit. Cool.
I am happy to see McCree. In fact, McCree was one of the first heroes who really made a big impact on us with. You mentioned the Roadhog. I remember the McCree.
Yeah.
So to see Dream back on McCree, I'm happy to see this. We'll see if it pays off here as Unco is going to be on the Sombra.
And it's to deal with the Sombra.
Yeah.
He missed his flashbang earlier, but he almost caught Unco out in the back line. That would have ruined it right away. Nico already downed it too easy, though.
Wins getting just bopped by Dreamcasper into the back. And remember, for every person that goes down, McCree does gain power as long as he's able to avoid the D.Va. Unco under heavy assault. Down he goes. Pinpoint precision coming out here from Dreamcasper. Positioning in his favor. AKM going to devour that flashbang, but gets demacked. AKM somewhere is just going, I wish I could be in McCree right now.
Unco had the EMP as well before he got taken out by Dreamcasper. That's going to be a very quick first capture here. The only thing that makes me a little bit upset about this is that Kosi hasn't had to do enough healing, so we're not going to see Electric Cowboy, at least for this first push. I do still, man, you remember the days of like Drive-By McCree, where he'd be on these platforms in High Noon? It could work again, because High Noon's been retooled.
Could we see it again? I mean, you've foreshadowed it now. I do hope that Dreamcasper goes to day one pub strats. I mean, it's not going to be a Bastion, but the EMP coming in. Dreamcasper, no way out this time around. Wynn's going to finish it off, and that is quite good here for Rogue at the very least for restabilizing, but Tempo with plenty of time right now.
I think it's actually fine for Tempo to lose the fight there, not use any ults, not have any of it eliminated by the EMP. Now they know they have a window, although a small window. Has Unco at 50% on EMP again.
Yep. And the thing about the EMP is that even in the middle of the fight, he can still build it up in the middle of it. So this is a case for Tempo where they have to be swifter. And oh no, Unco getting caught by the flashbang, just barely able to translocate away. Tempo, they feel they have an edge. They're diving right in. The Nano Blade is out. Pig right to the back. But it's not really decisive enough. He's gotten 3 kills. It's very good for Tempo, but Rogue has probably killed enough to stop this push from doing any real lasting damage for payload progress.
They killed 3 just as that blade was coming out, so there was no way it was going to be enough. You can't be 3v6 an entire team, especially on Assault where the respawn points might as well be directly on the point. They're going to have to find a different option here. Sad to see no Electric Cowboy, but we'll see how long Casper wants to stay on this. I think McCree can be viable again, against Sombras especially, but it's just so hard against dive comps to find the space you need to operate.
Does indeed, and right now Tempo not really taking much time in between pushes, keeping heavy pressure on Rogue where they're at least hoping that the EMP comes out sooner rather than later, and there's the EMP. Dreamcasper going to fall as a result, Nox right there at the follow through, so Unco converting from EMP to a one-team fight. Even gonna hack Tig here just for good measure.
Again, fine-ish to get EMP'd and die. Just happens. You have to accept the reality of what Assault maps are. And hopefully you have a window, but Unco at 80%.
My ultimate is charging.
This is just Sombra
funny,
play.
right?
It's really just Sombra things, and he's going to the back, and any good harass here at all should give him EMP back up. Oh no, Dreamcasper had enough, but not able to finish his plate. That could come back to haunt them, because now Unco has the EMP up again, and Hex, here we go again. Unco to the back, there's the EMP, everyone is hacked, and Rogue is snacking on some baguettes.
Maybe she gets an ultimate bonus because this is her cinematic map. You know, maybe that's what's happening here, why Unco is getting it up every single time.
You're saying the leader of Volskaya rigged it in her favor and says, actually, we're just gonna make everything way better for you because you have terrible blackmail on how I'm betraying my nation.
Yeah, Sombra did say she wanted to make friends, and apparently she's made a friend in the map
That's a terrible friend. Like, that is not good.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
Unco's
If
got
that's your
EMP.
friendship, Hex, if those are your friendships, I hope you get new ones. But yeah, Unco has EMP. More EMP for everyone. No one can use any abilities, and Rogue dining at the Tempo Storm buffet. Someone please stop Unco from hacking. Someone, where is the FBI when you need them?
He's in spawn and he just gained 25% because the pack usage there. That's why they're playing so far out here, by the way. I do believe that because Soon wants to take some damage and he wants to go and eat a pack and help Unco build it up. It could be 1 point of damage, could be anything, but it helps a little bit.
This has just been brutal. Unco has been getting EMP up every fight. Maybe this is the one fight he won't have it up, but getting good harassment on the side, not going to get stunned or slept dart, and is able to outright kill Cozy. Who needs an EMP when you can do that? You can't have that happen.
That was the one small window they had where Unco didn't have EMP, but then they just gave him a little bit more. Soon, probably going to go find a pack and help Unco get another bit. No, actually, he heals up by himself. Never mind. The supports do need to have healing targets as well. So, you know, Wynn's already had his ult, though, so actually they could have done the pack move. So Casper's been... Go ahead.
No, it just feels like Tempo hasn't been able to play the game. Like, they've been going up, setting up, and just getting hacked. Getting Pulse Bomb now on top of it. When was the last time Tempo had a clean team fight here? Do you remember? I don't.
When was the last time Tempo set a foot into last? Like at this point,
I don't know.
At this point, you just want to stack one of these platforms just to see what last looks like. This has been brutal. All right. Well, I mean, this is going to be a surprising update. Unco's got EMP ready. They haven't yet to use anything. I guess the counter point here is that Tempo's going to have nearly everything. If they ever get in.
Watching Tempo play right now is like watching Charlie Brown try to kick a football. It is that bad with how the EMP has been wrecking every single push. EMP comes in again. Nox is right there. 3 immediate kills, and the self-destruct was just gratuitous violence at that point. Good. I don't know.
Good gracious, or good grief, right?
Good,
that's what Charlie
good
Brown
grief.
says.
Yeah, there you go.
It's been a while since I've seen Charlie Brown. Well,
you know, I'm in Minnesota. It is the home of Charlie Brown. Used to have Knott's Camp Snoopy.
Yeah, the Mall of America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Well, in any case, Unco, 50% weight to EP. Not going to have it for this fight, so Tempo might have a real opportunity this time around. Tig moving to the back with the Dragon Blade. And for Tempo, they're trading out, but the problem is you need to do better than trading out here in offense for Volskaya. You need to have it be decisive, and though it's not the worst opening, there's just too many people up for Rogue right now. They're not going to get the decisive fight they need, and admirable from Beast Halo, but probably not going to be enough here as Nox is just knocking Tig to and fro, and Rogue will get to reinforce.
At that point, you would have settled for any sort of tick onto the point to get some progress there marked up. Not going to be the case. Everything blown in there. Unco actually got a couple of kills during that too. So while the EMP has been a big part of his kit, he's actually tracking very well with that Uzi. Unco gonna have EMP again. Sorry, I'm just gonna make a recording of that and hit a button.
How many times have we said that?
voice.
Unco has EMP again. By the way, Unco, EMP again. Also, Unco, EMP. Also, for real, Unco, EMP. Moving in. Everyone EMP'd into the back. Nico there at the fall through. Too easy. He's had enough. He's tried the ninja at least one tick. Rogue catching it off guard, but maybe this ninja has put Rogue a little bit off guard.
It helps.
Probably not.
It helps a little bit.
It does help.
Yeah. They get some nice kills there. They're bringing it back a little bit. They just have to hope for some sort of progress now, but Soon and Wins combined for a couple. Now Tig out of the mix, and that is the saddest Lucio in the world. 1v3. Moody did his best.
All I learned today is that Unco moonlights for some national security agency, whether it be the NSA or something else, because that hacking was brutal. Tempo Storm could barely play the game.
Yeah, that didn't seem fun for them. I mean, at some point, your will is just broken, where you go in 4 fights in a row and you're expecting one of them. At least one of them, they won't have EMP. But not the case at all. Rogue just shut it down. And even when Unco wasn't the one, I mean, the pulse bomb from Soon that killed both supports on the way in. Like, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating to watch. I can't imagine playing it.
I don't really know what to say there aside from Tempo Storm lost their power a lot. They were EMP'd a lot. Yeah. Unco used EMP a lot. That's really sort of the tale of second there, where it was let's never forget, it was a nice early attack from Tempo. It was a very good showing of the creep play from Dreamcasper.
Yeah.
But there are limits, I suppose.
But like all assault maps, first point is negligible in value, and sometimes we see amazing holds, but those are rarities. First point is generally, can the defense build up the ultimates they need to hold second on the first push, and vice versa. Can the offense crush it well enough that they can roll in through second? Very often that the first point is not held, and not going to be the case here. Well, it seems that Tempo Storm has taken pages out of Rogue's book, and this is just the popular meta right now. They're going to run the exact same defense Rogue ran. And Tempo Storm, not surprising, going to run a variation of their dive, but this time AKM on the Diva.
Let's not forget the conditions for Tempo Storm to come away with a victory here. They either need a first point hold, which is exceedingly rare on Volskaya, or if they want to force a tie, they have to prevent Rogue from getting a tick, which probably is possible if they're able to play Rogue on the same level that play Sombra on the same level that Unco just did, but that's going to be easier said than done.
I mean, Sombra's a bit of a rogue. Invisible, debuffs, lots of stuff.
Well, for now, Rogue taking it nice and easy, going up their left side. Coming up, challenging Dreamcasper here to the top, and Dream applying pressure they can, but he's giving respect to what is coming in behind him. But this is where you can get a lot of value off a Genji dash. Multiple people in front of him, doesn't take the opportunity yet, just sitting here in the back, doesn't go for the free dash damage, and now has to back away under heavy pressure. Rogue chasing him down, knocks in his face, and there's no way out here but death for Dreamcasper.
Now, that's kind of how we expect first point to go a lot of these times. The good thing, maybe, is that Cozy is going to be there. on his EMP, or at least close to it, at 83% right now, and can he shut down Rogue the same way Rogue shut down Tempo is the question.
See you later.
Well, Rogue put on a very good tempo to Sombra play, courtesy of Unco. We'll see if Cozy can do the same. They're going to have to hold for 7 minutes without giving up a single tick if they want to force a tie. Not even win, but force a tie here in Volskaya. So the mountain is large and intimidating indeed for Tempo Storm right now.
Unco's gonna run this Sombra offensively now. So this might just be a little bit of a dry push, trying to get the EMP out of the opposing team while Unco tries to set up. AKM's also rotated. They do get the EMP out of Tempo Storm.
But
a couple of kills.
How was Wins not hit by that EMP? I think it was a case where he just barely line of sighted it. It looked like he was in range. He wasn't. Dropped the sound barrier at the right time and was able to keep Rogue in the fight. That is really big.
Now Unco and Wins dueling out on the point as Soon joins them. It is a 1v3 as Halo comes in. They will finally take out Wins and Soon. No progress on the point. Okay, so it's offense, but guess what? Unco has EMP.
Well, I expect Unco to have EMP regularly has been great. Rogue has been playing around his health packs really well as well. And now Unco moving in, looking for the EMP that could put Rogue on top. They only need a single tick. And Unco just waiting for reinforcements. He's going to rehack this. Now the question is, how will this engage go down? He's moving in.
Defense pretty spread out though, so it's gonna be hard to get one. Nico goes down, and they might just hold this. Yeah, they're gonna hold it, not even of their own will, as Unco dies quickly. But I think it would have been the smart choice to hold it anyway.
You bring up something really good there, was that Tempo Storm was spread out. They did not give Unco an easy EMP, which is quite the opposite of how they're playing in the offense, where they were doing the buddy system and made Unco's job very easy. So Unco, at the very least for him there, is that he might have went down early. He still has the EMP for this next fight.
The only problem with that, though, is they have to guess that Kosi is going to have it, and he very well may at 95% now. That's nothing for Sombra to get the last couple of ticks, so a dueling EMP battle will be incoming here. And again, Tempo playing pretty smart, a little bit spread out, only the tanks really together as Kosi looks for an angle, finds it. Wait, no, that's
EMP coming out, and here comes Dream Casper for the counter. Dragon Blade out, moving in, takes down Nico, but it's caught in turn. The Death Blossom ruining his day. Rogue, though, is this going to be decisive enough? It might have been, but Tig slams the door on their fingers. That is going to be a hold here so far for Tempo Storm.
Really nice play there by Ludi to avoid that first EMP. The first EMP that came out was actually Unco's, but then he was able to get out of that and then sound barriered his team. And to have a sound barrier post EMP, it's very good for those who were affected to keep them alive. So nice play there. However, Tempo Storm burned just about everything. Nico, Soon, and Nox will have ults on the next push, and they know they should have a small window, as small as could possibly be.
Cozy is not playing as aggressively as Unco was, which means he's not getting EMP at the ridiculous rate that Unco was, so Rogue has more opportunities to get in here and make things happen. It's still not easy to get a tick on assault maps like Volskaya, but Rogue has been given more opportunities than what Rogue gave to Tempo in turn. So with a little under 4 minutes left, Rogue has plenty of ways of breaking this open, but Nox turning into a firework courtesy of Too Easy, gonna make things a little bit tough here for Rogue in this push.
And that really hurts because I believe they were playing around Unco so that he could get EMP and they wanted to go right then. Nox died as soon as EMP came up, gonna slow them down for this next push. Yet again, it will be dueling EMP battles here. Kosi and Unco ready to go with it. The rest of the alts definitely in favor of Rogue though, still over 3 minutes to get 33%.
Rogue has time here, and they're stockpiling ultimates. I think for them, their ideal engage here is EMP, everyone uses everything, brute forces for one tick. There's EMP though coming in from the defense, and AKM is already down, so that's the problem, is that even when you have an EMP and everything up of your own, you need to not get EMP'd first.
Oh, it's fine. They should just leave if they can. Unco's trying to get out, but he gets spotted by Ludi. He puts an end to that. But that's completely fine for them. That's what they didn't use anything else. This is the push they've been setting up for the last several pushes. They will have EMP while the other team does not, theoretically. And they will have everything else they want to use. And even if it goes kind of poorly, AKM should be able to get there by the end of this fight. He's at 71% on Death Blossom.
This is absolutely Rogue's window to win this game and put an end to it now. If they use everything here and somehow don't end up with one tick on the point, we could be looking at a draw. Sound barrier coming in from Rogue, barrier out, pulse bomb out, and Unco confused as to where to drop the EMP, but finally uses it just on the Tig here in the back, but that might be enough. It has been flawless for Rogue here so far. Tempo on the verge of losing Volskaya. Dream Casper coming back in with the reflect, has a blade. This one might not be over yet.
Reflected the Death Blossom right back into AKM's dome, and they are getting the kills that they need. However, Nox still alive. A big presence on this point. Takes down 2. They are so close to getting the only progress they need to take this map, as 2Easy's still in here. EMP comes out.
And the EMP comes out late. Cozy get back into the fight. The self-destruct out of nowhere. And Tempo doing their best to bring this back. Respawns are coming back in. Rogue blew everything for this fight here, Hex. They cannot afford to back out. And soon, darting in and around. AKM's still up, but he has finally fallen, and has Tempo Storm actually brought this one back with Rogue. Nary a tick. That might be where we're at right now, Hex.
And all the progress.
My goodness, the resetting. They used everything.
They did, but however, so did Tempo Storm, and then Rogue ended up doing just a little bit more damage, because if you look at the resets here, Unko is close to another EMP, Soon and Nico with the DPS, and also his wins. The only saving grace is Ludi. I mean, God, Nox did his best to keep his team in that. He was alive so long.
He was alive for a really long time. One upside here is that Rogue almost has ultimates up again. They all did a great job of rebuilding back up. Tig already teamed back, but down goes Nico. Dream Casper winning the Genji on Genji battle on the side. And that helps here for Tempo. Rogue being oppressive here once more. The barrier is out. Everyone's getting onto a point. Not much room for error here for Tempo, and that will be it. Rogue in the final minute, able to finally push this one in what was, to say the least, a Sombra-dominated game.
Well, it's Assault. It's a Sombra. I might as well just rename the map mode, because that is all we have seen on Assault lately. It has just been Sombra v Sombra, finding
all the rest, and there's a lot of room to do that here on Route 66. So, yes, Volskaya didn't work out for them because they were hacked too many times to count. All their photos are online, but now, at the very least, for Route 66, maybe this is a little bit more their speed in terms of more favorable ambushes for them. Maybe not as Sombra friendly to Unko. We'll have to see.
I remember reviewing this map when it first came out, and what stood out to me specifically was that it's designed with flanker routes in it. I mean, the main road has flank routes to the left and right all throughout the map, so you might be correct that it would work out better to try to run a more flanking composition, but, you know, Rogue has a couple of decent flanking DPS of their own. They're just going to run a, you know, a variation on the dive defense. Soon and Nico this time will be playing the DPS, and Tracer and Genji. AKM has drawn the straw of Diva. And a little bit interesting that they're not running a Zen here, so maybe a tank-heavy composition could end up working well against this?
Very well could, as far as dealing with it. I mean, I'm happy to see a Reinhardt coming out here, and yeah, Tempo is going for some old-school ground and pound here, and they're bringing out the Mei, so I think the goal here is that you catch out the Diva and Winston in the tunnel, wall them off, and go from there, where Reinhardt can be really good. I will say this, is that I don't like to think of them as drawing straws, Hex. I like to think of them just drawing miniature baguettes. And whoever draws the shortest one, that's the person who has to play Diva.
Well, the dive comes in. He is able to cut off half the team at least a little bit as this tank-heavy composition tries to go to work. And I think, you know, it's designed to deal with a Sombra, right? That's why we see the Mei a lot of the times, is to deal with a pack room to the left. And after what Sombra just did to them, I suppose you have to run it at least for a little bit. They will switch off immediately. Casper onto 76 now. 2Easy over to Tracer.
2Easy is over the Tracer, and here we go. This is the tunnel fight that Tempo wanted here, and they're able to get on Nox immediately. They work this out pretty well in the beginning, and 5-on-5. It's not a bad trade out to begin with here, as Rogue struggling to reestablish, AKM having the backpedal here in a hurry, as Tempo keeping on the pressure.
Both Winston's down. Soon gets a little too big for his britches, finds himself in a 1v5, and they focus him down, unable to get out or blink out. That is 2 quick kills here for the offensive side as they pile on, taking down Unko as well. This from Nox is just to try to stall out the cart so he can regroup with his team. I believe they will all try to be taxied back by wins as soon as possible.
All right, Tempo with a good first attack here. Rogue will have an attempt to come right back into it. Nico holding on to the Dragon Blade. So, Nico, the question is, will he be able to have a game-defining blade here? Doesn't have to worry about support ults ruining his day immediately. Ludi's still a little bit away, but no, the window is passed. Ludi can drop the barrier right here, right now. No, he gets cut down. He's not able to drop the beat. The nano boost is in, and Nico threads it through what was the tiniest of windows.
We'll talk about threading it through. Unco with the fadeaway boost as he died right after he was able to get it onto Nico. He was punished for it, able to get it off in the slimmest of margins, and maybe Nico gets the same work done, but it's always more comforting to have the boost. Unco with a nice shot there. Can play more than just the Sombra. Of course, anyone who's watched Unco for any given amount of time knows that. Now, they had to use a lot there, and the advantage for ults, at least for the moment, will switch over to the side of Tempo Storm. It's just a matter of how they're going to find it here. It's going to be difficult for them to find a good angle for this visor, I think.
Will be difficult indeed. ACAM right now trying to stymie the push as it comes back in, and he does that, just that. Dreamcasper has to run the other way, but in the backline, Wins not as safe on the payload as he might have thought. Too easy picking him off, and now here comes Tempo Storm, fueled by Dreamcasper. No visor even required, chewing through Rogue one by one. ACAM trying to get back into his mech, and he might just do that. He was able to get away. No, he wasn't. Too easy. Killed him right at the very end. Yeah, he did. So that's tough. Tempo should be able to roll this right to first point.
They will get first point. This has been a map where defense has just struggled overall. The dive compositions generally favor the offense at this point, knowing when and where to initiate from, defense having to react to some of those things, which is why it wouldn't surprise me to see Rogue, once they're up to full strength, to just dive in on this. They're an aggressive team. They could just go on the cart. You don't really want to be reacting on this point. They dodged the pulse bomb from Too Easy, and now they want to go in. Sound barrier up.
Barrier is up. They don't have much a combo with it. It's just Rogue, their bodies, and the beat going onto the payload, and Wins gonna be the first one to fall here. Counter engage coming in here from Tempo, and Dreamcasper still creeping on this tack visor. Doesn't get a chance to use those. Nico's blade cuts right through. It's a 3K from Nico, and the blade late into the fight doing its work.
Rogue, their bodies, and the beat. It's either a really good album or like a calendar we should be able to buy.
Can it be both?
Yeah,
I'd love it to be both.
It's a calendar at the soundtrack. Soon looks for his pulse bomb, but he's punished by Casper. However, a late transcend from Unco. There's no one with him.
I think someone told Dreamcasper a lie that he does more damage, is more accurate when he doesn't use Tac Visor. Like, just having in reserve, he just has this passive benefit because he has been crushing it. No visor required, going right in. And don't forget, Dreamcasper showed us a really good Genji early in the day, too. So, as far as standout players go, he's been sublime.
Well, for some 76s, that's true. Visor can't headshot. So, there was a time where there were 76s in the game where it's like, man, I don't know if you want to use that visor necessarily. Your tracking's that good. Might be stepping into a class of his own, Dreamcasper. They're holding front gate, so hard to come out here on the defense as you have to go through the tiny tunnel. They do get entrance and force out the transcend. Now they're going to go fight.
Self-destruct coming up here from Rogue. Yeah, the self-destruct does not connect, but it will be zoning Tempo back a bit. But it's Tig, a blade of his own, takes down not one, but both supports and one swift strike. That is big for Tempo as Rogue is on the ropes.
Not finding exactly what they need on the defense to be able to stabilize. It's only been one kill. Generally, we've only seen teams stabilize on this point if they get like, a triple pulse bomb, a giant blade. It just becomes so difficult to come out. But Rogue, nothing for free as both the supports get back on the card after they were dispatched by the blade. Their lives are short-lived and not very fruitful. Now it's time to hold on to last. This is where teams mostly stabilize, though.
Teams oftentimes will have a second wind here on Route 66 last, and actually, even though it's felt brutal towards Rogue in the last few minutes, they've done a good job of making it take a while for Tempo to get through here. 2.5 minutes is not that much to defend against, but they also don't have much in reserve right now, so Tempo has plenty of time to move on forward here. But losing Dreamcasper early, that's going to take the bite out of their bark. They're not going to be able to go in quite as heavily as they would have liked.
Yeah, Rogue tries to pressure them a little bit out, knowing that they had the advantage there, but they're going to be smart and not dive too entirely deep. Also smart on the side of Tempo Storm to know that they just lost an important player, and they're right near spawn. You might as well wait, but Too Easy dies on the entrance again, and now Rogue is going to boost themselves in, and then think better of it. Just looking for cheap, easy, and low-risk kills. They're looking for low-risk opportunities at these chases.
But this has changed the dynamic of the game here, where Rogue was struggling. They were at a big ult disadvantage. Now it's much more evened up. Tempo has lost a big advantage, and here comes Nico. Blade is out, gets nothing. The Transcendence stuffing it where it stands, and Rogue now in a bit of trouble here as this fight is going to go against them. They do have a Transcendence of their own, but they're going to have to wait for a regroup to get value out of it.
Well, a little short of 90 seconds now. 1 or 2 fights from the defense could be able to seal it out. They've got the support ultimates that they need to be able to fight next time. In fact, they've got nearly everything except for the self-destruct, as Nico now on the Diva there. They do transcend here early, soon able to get to the back line. Cozy now out of this mix. That is 2 quick kills from Rogue. That should be a stabilizing fight. Now, this is a very difficult point for the defense when the card gets this far especially. You have to get up the hill, then you have to get around the bend to even start considering pushing.
Soon dug too deep. He was punished by the incredible Damon known as Dream Casper, and now a quick 65 opportunity for Tempo. Most likely Soon is going to be back before they engage, but Tempo gets more luxury here to move in without getting poked from the back. Here comes the barrier, and Attack Visor could be in our future here from Tempo, as one just came out from the defense, and ACAM has got nothing. It's been all Tig, getting to the back, getting to supports, and Dream, under assault here from Soon, able to stay alive.
Tiggs actually runs a very good Genji of his own. They have a lot of versatility on this Tempo Storm team to be able to switch up heroes and not really lose a whole lot there after we saw Dream Casper crush it on King's Row. One last fight for Rogue as they exit here with the barrier in hand and negate some of this pulse bomb damage. A visor will come off from, I believe that's Casper trying to get something. Doesn't find anything though. His barrier's up all over the places.
Barriers up all around. Rogue trying to reestablish. The Transcendence comes out here from Tempo, but it is a bit late. 2 people have already fallen. Dream laying in the damage from the back, but now that Nox has a Primal Rage, that is a big wall of meat in the face of Tempo Storm, and it is unlikely that they're going to be able to stay alive in the face of it.
I would totally shop at a butcher if they just called themselves a wall of meat. I would love it.
Well, here's the thing, is that the deeper the cast goes, the more zany and loopier it gets in terms of just what we call things. Like, sometimes Winston is just a big wall of meat. He's in your face. What are you going to do about it?
I mean, I've had a lot of exotic meats, and I pride myself on always trying something I haven't had before, but so far no one's offered me gorilla. I don't think it's legal, actually. I'm pretty sure they're in danger.
I think that's a little bit too close in the, like, ancestor chain or whatever. Like, it's a little bit... It's a little bit much.
Yeah. It's verging on cannibalism?
I would say so.
But they use pigs as analogs for human beings in a lot of tests, and we eat a lot of pork.
Have you tasted bacon? It's really tasty.
It is, yeah. I'm more a big fan.
I don't know what to tell you there. That clearly there's an exception to be had.
I'm a bigger fan of ham. Rum ham. All right.
I will agree with you, actually. Ham at Christmas time is one of the greatest pleasures in life.
Yeah. All right, so to get back to the game here, and I'm now just realizing I'm starving. Rogue just has to finish the map. That's it. Rogue is up 2-1 in the set. Finish out Route 66, and they will be moving on after losing King's Row to this Tempo Storm team and dominating Volskaya against them. And right now, from this side of Tempo Storm, this is the defense they want to run with a Sombra, which is why you saw the offense come out. They were expecting to run into this style of defense on Route 66. It did not happen for Rogue. And I think Rogue, is probably just going to run some variation of their dive. Really, the only switch-ups have been which 2 DPS they want to run into 2-2-2, and ACAM and Nico have been switching off. Of course, if they want to run the 76, then Nico has to be on the Diva, and if they want to run the Genji, then AKM will take up the Diva.
AKM out of Diva jail. Feels good, man. But they will be running the setup here. No Genji to be had. And we'll see just how effective it is. And the one thing about when you run the 76 or the Genji is that it's less divey, but you have more outright power in dealing with people in your face, applying pressure from long range, and it's a little bit safer if your tanks can support the 76 in the back.
It also helps your back line and make sure that the Tracer can't really be there and being as aggressive as she would like, because just a Helix will take her out. A lot of free push overall. Nico did get D-maxed, but they've traded out just a little bit. And still not really going in on this card. Very, very defensive.
Very defensive indeed. And the thing about Rogue is that they're just pummeling through here. It's nothing flashy. They're grinding it out, but now they are EMP'd and Dream Casper gets to feast, dashing back and forth. X, I know you might be hungry, but Dream Casper really isn't after that. He has fed himself to having a Dragon Blade.
Absolutely, and that was exactly what they were waiting for. That's why they were giving up all the free push. That's why they were playing reactionary. They wanted to wait for that perfect timing right there over the top. And yeah, that's exactly what they wanted. Although now the window should be open, as Cozy will not have EMP for the next fight, and they recognize this. They go for the dive right there. AKM takes down 2. Beast Halo and Casper now out of this fight. Pulse Bomb, happy birthday to the ground.
And that was a little bit rare, not quite the engage that Tempo was looking for there. And even though Dreamcasper had the Dragon Blade ready to go in the fight, is not able to make anything come of it. So Rogue now well on their way to getting to the first point. And now for Tempo, they really do need to buy themselves some time here in second Hex. How many fights would you say they need to win here to give themselves a real chance of defending last?
Well, I don't know. At last you can defend forever. It's just second is such a hard place to defend. I think we've only seen 1 or 2 stabilizing fights in the last couple days, and I think the only one I really remember is Immortals, where Agility's just decided he'd had enough and killed 4 people. But very difficult. They are going to get aggressive on it, though. Force out the Transcend on the cart, bloodless so far.
Tempo right now trying not to get washed over by Rogue as they open up with not one but both support ultimates. Cozy is going to fall, and Tempo just not with the firepower to deal with this level support ultimate. Soon dunked on from long range, headshot shurikens hitting their mark. It's about the only thing that Tempo can be proud of there in that defense. So they'll have a blade for the next part of second, and I do think the next fight is going to be rather crucial here, Hex, because if they're not able to mount a good defense with the barrier, who knows how much momentum Rogue is going to gain as they would otherwise cruise through second.
How are they even going to get out here, though? Nox has Primal Rage, Nico has Self-Destruct. They both have eyes on the tiny tunnel that is Route 66's entry. Although a little late, they don't stop it at the door, and now the blade will come out from Casper, takes out AKM immediately.
Goes through AKM, is slicing through Nico's mech like it was butter, and that is good for Tempo. Even though Dream might die, the damage has been done, and they are able to restabilize here right before second.
What is Nox up to? He pops Primal Rage and goes into the room after the fact. I think that needed to be preemptively so he could have shut down that doorway. There's no way to get through Winston, as we mentioned. Could just be a wall of meat, but a primal enraged wall of meat. He could have knocked everyone back in there, and instead they let them in. Didn't have to happen that way.
No, it definitely did not. And Tig right now just holding to backline. This is one of the better areas for a self-destruct if a team is caught off guard. A Dream diving deep in with Beast Halo. All 3 members of the Tempo dive squad getting right to the back. Combined damage, and here comes the self-destruct over the top. Wasn't really in range of a whole lot there. Rogue didn't even have to move too much to get away. So fight still very much in contest. Back and forth as we go. Dream under a lot of pressure, just diving away from Nico.
A little bit discoordinated from the side of Rogue as the skirmish has gone far too long and they've just been getting caught out one by one, although Nico does finally take down Ludi in the 1v1 he was trying to take down. And now they're going to be able to demech Tig as well. This should be the sign to go for them. Can't really lose anyone else on the entry though. It's already 6v4.
It is 6v4 right now. Tempo Storm waiting for the Dragon Blade from Dreamcasper. He's actually in a good position to drop it down, but he needs a little bit of distraction for his team. Otherwise, it's going to be everyone versus Dream. Self-destruct coming in, and oh, Dreamcasper has gotten a bounty. Here comes AKM right in his face, and no, he doesn't go for it here just yet. Didn't want to take the fight when a support ultimate could be coming out, and here's the thing, Hex. They're still doing a good job of delaying as Rogue is struggling to corral Tempo in and around the point.
I'm in third person as high as I can be in the sky, and I'm missing skirmishes. That's how spread out a lot of this is. That everyone is fighting all over the place, but Dreamcasters decides if Rogue doesn't want to reset on their own, I will send them all back to spawn and force them to do so. Gets a couple of kills, but didn't even have to use his blade to get it done. 90 seconds remain, and now Rogue down to a couple more fights just to grab second, or we're going to a 5th map.
Well, and the key here is that they can engage with Blade Barrier. You give Dreamcasper extra durability, you let him loose with the Blade, and if they can get a good fight here, that might be all they need to put Rogue on Death Watch here for Route 66. Dreamcasper under assault, and his patience perhaps not paying off. He's finally taken down by Nico, and Rogue has an opportunity.
While the self-destruct comes in over top, takes down AKM, so some trades going on here, and trades from the defense as they continue to stall out. This might be the tipping point here as they finally take out Tig, and yeah, they stalled it out for a long time though. Rogue not going to have as much time as they would like to finish out first. In fact, 2:15, this cart moves pretty slow. We might see overtime here.
This is basically about the same time that Rogue got here, or sorry, that Tempo got here on their attack. So it is going to come down to final point defenses between both teams. And look at Tempo coming in on the flank in hot pursuit of Rogue. I don't think Rogue was expecting this to come in from the back, but they have a good response nonetheless. Nox blowing the Primal Rage, disrupting the back line. And even though Dream, I think, wanted to come at the Blade, it's difficult to do here, but the dash resets are actually making this more even than it otherwise should have been.
Yeah, a little late there. Too easy, a little bit in trouble now as he will eventually get Tesla down from Nox, who had to pop Primal Rage a little before that just to stay alive. But these kills going in favor of Rogue, and wins alone on the cart as usual as they continue to push forward here. 90 seconds remain, ZP.
90 seconds left remaining here as Tempo is looking to upset Rogue here again and make the series an even 2-2. Rogue looking to finish this one out after a rough beginning, and with those 2 early kills, Tempo on the back foot, but Dream into the back. Blade only gets 1, and Rogue is putting together what could be game-winning momentum here, Hex. A lot of good ultimates on the way for them. They're about to have Transcendence, Tac Visor, and Self-Destruct. This is the real test coming up here for Tempo Storm.
Barrier's going to be even closer too, so they have the closeout ultimates that they need. Force out Transcend as soon finds his counterpart with the Pulse Bomb. A nice pullback from Rogue as they counter in with their own Transcend. Destruct over the top just to create some space, and now they can Barrier for the win.
Well, the barrier comes down, and it very well might be for the win. Rogue getting everything they wanted more. Too easy, able to pop 1 in the back, but that is going to be too little too late. It's only Too Easy and Ludi that are left. Ludi is not even able to get to the payload here just yet. Has to go in 1v6. Not a good look for Lucio, but had no other choice. Rogue finishing off Tempo Storm with 27 seconds to spare. And yet, Hex,